The screams had stopped an hour ago. Now, only the jungle spoke. The wind whispered through blackened vines, and something wet dripped from the canopy, too thick to be rain. The ground was littered with alien footprints, heavy and clawed, circling a burned human shuttle. Captain Aric Voss crouched low behind the wreckage, scanning the trail through the scope of his rifle. The air shimmered with heat, distorting his reflection on the cracked metal. His face was scarred, jaw unshaven, eyes a cold, steady gray that never stayed still for long. He'd been tracking these creatures for 3 days, the ones who'd taken the child. He whispered into his comms, Voss to command. I found the crash site. No adults. Just one small distress beacon, still active. Static answered him. Then silence. Voss gritted his teeth. Figures. He shut off the comm and pulled out the small beacon from his pouch. The light was dim, but steady, a child's safety signal, encoded with old Earth tech. The kind used by colonist families who couldn't afford military-grade trackers. He turned it over in his hand, watching the faint blue blink. Hang on, kid, he murmured. You're not dying on my watch. Something moved in the tree line. Voss froze. He raised his rifle slowly, the faint whine of the power cell humming under his breath. The shadows were shifting, alive, rippling shapes moving on 6 legs, their skin blending perfectly with the jungle light. Dreth hunters. They were large, reptilian, and eerily silent. Predators bred for stealth and blood sport. He'd seen them tear through a platoon once, soldiers in full armor, shredded before they even fired a shot. But this wasn't a hunt for survival. This was for fun. The Dreth believed humans were fragile prey, soft, emotional, predictable. They hunted them to prove dominance. And this time, they'd chosen a child. Voss adjusted the scope. There were 3 of them in view, stalking through the underbrush, their thermal signatures sharp against the foliage. The lead hunter carried something dangling from his belt. Small, metallic, red. A child's necklace. Voss's heartbeat quickened, but his breathing stayed calm. His voice was cold as steel. Not yours. He squeezed the trigger. The plasma bolt hit the lead Dreth square in the chest, bursting through armor and spine. The others scattered, clicking in alarm, their camo fields flickering like broken holograms. Voss rolled behind a tree as one fired a sonic blade through the air. It hit the bark beside him with a wet, humming sound. The smell of ozone and blood filled the air. He ducked, reloaded, and fired again, this time hitting the second Dreth in the leg. It fell, roaring. The third one turned, raising its weapon. Voss didn't hesitate. A clean shot. Head gone. The forest went quiet again. Voss stood, breathing hard, scanning for movement. And then he heard it. A low growl. Not alien. Not human. Something in between. He turned. There, standing half in shadow, was a creature no bigger than a house cat, but built like a tank. Thick black and white fur, claws like knives, eyes glowing gold in the dim light. A honey badger. It looked straight at him, unafraid, standing beside a small, half-buried escape pod. Voss's jaw tightened. He approached slowly, lowering his weapon. Easy, he murmured. I'm not here to hurt you. The animal hissed softly, baring its teeth. Then it turned its head toward the pod, toward something inside. Voss moved closer, kicking away dirt and ash. The hatch had been pried open, probably by the Dreth. Inside, wrapped in a torn blanket, was a small human girl. Pale, dirty, shaking, but alive. Her voice was barely a whisper. You came. Voss knelt beside her, his expression softening. Yeah, kid. Let's get you home. The honey badger growled again, not at him, but at something behind him. Voss turned fast, rifle up. His visor lit red. Movement in the trees, dozens this time. The rest of the death hunting party. They'd followed him. One of them roared, voice guttural through the translator. You think one human can defy us? Voss smirked, steadying his aim. One's all you need. The first plasma blast tore through the air. He ducked, rolling to shield the child. The honey badger lunged past him, a blur of teeth and fury. It hit the Dreth with impossible speed, ripping through armor like cloth. The alien screamed, collapsing as the badger climbed its chest, tearing out the throat with a snarl that shook the forest. The others hesitated, their leader barking orders, but too late. The creature turned, blood on its fur, eyes burning like fire. Every Dreth in sight froze. Even Voss stared. He'd seen monsters in his life, human and otherwise, but this was something else. The Dreth commander whispered, "What is that?" Voss's voice was low, dangerous. That's Earth." He fired, and the jungle exploded into chaos. Plasma and claws, blood and light. Through it all, the honey badger fought like a creature possessed, unrelenting, unstoppable. Every Dreth that got close was shredded. The girl covered her ears, eyes wide as her protector. Small, furious, and fearless, stood its ground. By the time the smoke cleared, the jungle was quiet again. The predators were gone. The honey badger limped back to the child, panting, bleeding, but alive. Voss watched in silence, lowering his rifle. The creature looked up at him, as if judging him for a heartbeat, then turned away, curling beside the girl. He knelt, touching the comm at his ear. "Command, this is Voss. I've got the girl. And something else. You're not gonna believe this one." The comm crackled to life. "What happened out there, Captain?" Voss looked at the burning tree line. "Let's just say the hunters got hunted." He turned toward the shadows, scanning the horizon. In the distance, more movement flickered, shapes too large, too many. This wasn't over. He raised his weapon again. Round 2, then. The night burned red. The air was thick with smoke and plasma residue, the scent of ozone sharp enough to sting the lungs. Captain Aric Voss stood at the edge of the clearing, rifle raised, eyes scanning the tree line. The girl clung to his leg, her tiny hands trembling. Behind them, the honey badger crouched, chest heaving, its fur matted with alien blood. The Dreth hunters were gone, but Voss knew that didn't mean they were safe. He could feel it, that low, rhythmic vibration crawling up from the soil. Not footsteps, engines. They were calling reinforcements. Voss knelt beside the child. "What's your name, kid?" She sniffed, her eyes wide. "Lena." "All right, Lena." He checked his rifle's charge. "You stay close to me. And whatever happens," he looked toward the honey badger, whose golden eyes glared back, "you stick with that little monster." The creature hissed softly as if insulted. Voss cracked a grin. "Fine, big monster." Then the jungle moved. A wave of sonic energy tore through the trees, bending trunks like grass. Voss threw himself over the girl as the blast slammed into them, scattering leaves and dirt. He rolled, drawing his sidearm as 3 Dreth drop pods slammed into the ground nearby, their hulls glowing with plasma heat. The pods opened. Out stepped the Dreth elite. Taller, armored, smarter. Their commander carried a staff carved with human skulls. The others hissed through their fanged mouths, spreading into formation. Voss spat out a mouthful of blood. Guess word travels fast. The commander's voice slithered through a translator unit. You killed my hunters, human. You desecrate our sport. Voss raised his weapon. You call it sport. We call it child trafficking. The alien's slitted eyes narrowed. That one belongs to us now. Give her back, and you die quickly. Voss chuckled. Buddy, you've clearly never met a human mother. He fired first. The clearing exploded into chaos. Plasma bolts lit up the night like lightning. Voss dove between roots and fallen logs, firing short, precise bursts. The Dreth returned fire, their weapons humming with lethal precision. One bolt grazed his shoulder, searing through armor. He barely flinched. The honey badger, however, didn't bother hiding. It launched itself into the nearest alien with a snarl that could have curdled blood. Claws ripped into flesh, teeth tore through muscle. The Dreth screamed, swinging wildly. The creature didn't care. It kept attacking until the alien stopped moving entirely. Damn, Voss muttered, ducking behind a tree. Remind me not to get on your bad side. He popped out, shot another Dreth through the visor, and caught the commander advancing on Lena. The alien's spear gleamed red under the firelight. Stay back. Voss shouted, but the creature ignored him. Before he could reach her, the honey badger spun, eyes blazing. It charged the commander like a living bullet, ramming into his chest with enough force to send him crashing into a tree. The spear went flying. The badger climbed onto him, clawing and biting until the alien's armor cracked. The Dreth howled, thrashing, but it was useless. Lena watched, frozen in shock and awe. He's protecting me. Voss reloaded and joined the chaos, slamming the butt of his rifle into another alien's jaw. The weapon clicked dry. He drew his combat knife. Fine. We're going old school. He moved like a ghost, low, fast, deadly. Every swing was efficient, every motion practiced. Years of war had made him brutal. But tonight, he wasn't fighting for orders. He was fighting for someone else's child. When it was over, the ground was quiet again. Smoke hung heavy in the air. The jungle glowed faintly from burning pods. The honey badger sat beside Lena, panting, its fur smoldering slightly. Voss wiped blood off his cheek. Remind me never to underestimate Earth's wildlife. Lena knelt, gently stroking the creature's head. His name's Biter. Voss raised an eyebrow. Fitting. The badger grunted, unimpressed. Then a new sound cut through the silence. A long, mechanical hum, deeper than any drop pod. Voss turned toward the horizon. His visor flickered red. Oh, hell. Through the smoke, the shape of a Dreth war skimmer appeared. A low hovering craft bristling with cannons, its hull carved with tribal markings. Its lights swept across the jungle, scanning for survivors. Zurac's voice crackled in Voss's comm unit. Captain, what's your status? We lost your signal 2 hours ago. Voss ducked behind a rock, watching the skimmer draw closer. Still alive. But I've got company, and they're not leaving until they find this girl. Zurac hesitated. Extraction in 5 minutes. Can you hold? Voss glanced at Lena, then at Biter, who was already baring his teeth at the approaching ship. He smirked. Yeah, we'll hold. He slung his rifle, checked his last power cell, and looked at the child. You scared, kid? She nodded slightly. Good, he said. Means you're thinking straight. The skimmer's spotlight locked onto them. The engines roared, trees bending under the pressure. Voss stood, firing into the glow. Plasma rounds hit the hull, sparking against shields. The Dreth gunner returned fire. A bolt struck the ground beside him, throwing him off balance. He rolled, covering Lena. Then Biter charged. The little beast sprinted through the smoke and leapt straight onto the side of the hovering ship. Its claws dug into the metal. Sparks flew as it shredded through armor plating, ripping wires with raw strength. The skimmer lurched sideways, alarms blaring. Impossible! One of the aliens screamed from inside. Voss grinned, watching the chaos. Yeah, that's humanity for you. The craft spiraled out of control, crashing into the jungle with a thunderous explosion that shook the ground. Fire spread across the tree line, painting the night orange. Voss covered Lena's eyes. Don't look, kid. That's not something you forget. The honey badger crawled back from the wreckage, singed but alive, carrying the Dreth commander's severed comm unit in its mouth. It dropped it at Voss's feet like a trophy. Voss stared at it, then laughed softly. You're something else, Biter. The creature growled proudly. Then, in the distance, more engines ignited. The Dreth weren't done yet. Voss looked up, eyes narrowing. And neither are we. The jungle was burning. Orange light licked the edges of the canopy as black smoke rose toward the alien sky. The wreckage of the Dreth skimmer smoldered in the clearing, metal groaning as it melted into the dirt. Sparks drifted through the air like fireflies. Captain Aric Voss stood in the glow, his armor scorched, his breathing ragged but steady. Beside him, Lena clutched the honey badger, Biter, whose fur was slick with blood and soot. Voss glanced toward the horizon. Dozens of new heat signatures flickered across his visor. They are not retreating, he muttered. They are regrouping. He looked down at the girl. We move. Now. She nodded silently, eyes wide, clutching Biter tighter. They ran, deeper into the jungle's heart, where the trees grew thicker and stranger. Bioluminescent plants cast eerie blue light across the undergrowth. The ground pulsed faintly beneath their boots, like the planet itself was alive and breathing. Every few steps, Biter stopped to sniff the air. Its ears twitched, muscles tense. The creature was still on alert, not from exhaustion, but instinct. Something else was moving in the jungle. And it wasn't Dreth. They found the cave just before dawn. It opened into a massive hollow lined with crystal veins that shimmered faintly with alien light. Voss checked his motion scanner, no Dreth readings, just static interference. He exhaled. All right, we catch our breath here. Lena curled up beside Biter, both of them silent but alert. Voss sat across from them, stripping a ruined piece of armor from his arm. You did good, kid. Most soldiers wouldn't have lasted 5 minutes out there. Lena frowned. He protected me, not me. Voss smirked. Yeah, I noticed. Not exactly your average pet. She stroked Biter's head gently. Dad said he wasn't just a pet. He said honey badgers were. Earth's temper in animal form. Voss chuckled softly. Sounds about right. The laughter died when he noticed something. Markings carved into the cave walls. Lines and spirals, crude yet deliberate. He stood, running a gloved hand across them. The carvings weren't human. They were Dreth. But older. Much older. Captain. Zorak's voice crackled faintly through the comm, static breaking the transmission. You still alive out there? Barely, Voss replied. Found shelter in a cave system. You picking up my signal? Static. Then faint words, you're in the old zone. Don't. The comm died. Voss frowned. Old zone. Before he could think further, Biter growled, low and sharp. Its fur bristled, eyes glowing gold again. Lena gasped. What's wrong? Voss raised his rifle, scanning the shadows. Then he saw it, movement at the edge of the cave. A silhouette. Tall. Thin. Not Dreth. Something else. It stepped forward slowly, its form lit by the glow of the crystals. A humanoid figure wrapped in strange organic armor, its skin translucent and patterned with luminous veins. Its face was hidden behind a mask that looked like polished bone. Voss aimed his rifle. "Stop right there." The figure didn't move. Its voice, when it came, was soft but resonant, not mechanical, but layered, like two tones speaking at once. "You are human," it said. "The firemaker. The destroyer. The one who refuses to die." Voss's finger tightened on the trigger. "And you are." The creature tilted its head. "A memory." Voss's eyes narrowed. "Of what?" "Of those who came before the Dreth. The ones they hunted into extinction." The alien stepped closer, and the light revealed dozens more shapes in the shadows, silent watchers hidden among the rocks. Lena whimpered. "Are they going to hurt us?" The masked figure looked at her, then at Biter. "You bring the child. You bring the beast. The jungle warned us." "The jungle warned you?" Voss asked. The creature gestured to the glowing veins running along the cave walls. "This world remembers everything that bleeds. Every hunt. Every death. It called you here, human. Because it remembers your kind." Voss frowned. "You're saying this planet called me?" The alien's gaze was steady. It called what it needed. Biter growled again, pacing in front of Lena protectively. The creature's eyes met the honey badger's, and for a heartbeat, they glowed the same color. The alien stepped back, startled. "It carries the mark." "What mark?" Voss asked. The alien's voice dropped lower. "Your beast carries something ancient. Something older than your species. A spark born from the First War. It is why the Dreth cannot kill it." Voss's jaw tightened. "You're telling me this little monster is some kind of weapon?" "No," the alien said. "It is a survivor. Like you." Outside, a thunderous boom shook the ground. The light in the crystals flickered violently. Voss turned toward the cave entrance, visor scanning. The Dreth had arrived, but not just foot soldiers this time. The thermal readings showed walkers. Massive armored beasts fused with technology, stomping through the jungle. The alien's tone hardened. "They have found you." Voss loaded his rifle. "Then let's make sure they regret it." The creature turned toward the other masked figures and spoke in its strange, doubled voice. "Awaken the roots. The jungle protects its own." From deep within the cave, the ground began to pulse, the crystal veins glowing brighter, hotter. Outside, the trees themselves started to move. Roots twisted upward like living serpents, vines glowing with blue fire. Lena clutched Biter. "What's happening?" Voss didn't take his eyes off the entrance. "I think the planet just joined the fight." The first Dreth walker broke through the tree line, a towering metal beast, its cannons locking onto the cave. The masked alien raised its hand. The ground erupted in response. Vines shot upward, wrapping around the walker's legs, crushing metal like bone. Biter leapt from Lena's arms, charging forward into the chaos, claws flashing in the light. Voss grinned, eyes cold but alive. "You wanted a fight," he muttered. "Welcome to Earth's attitude." The ground trembled beneath them like a heartbeat. Captain Aric Voss braced himself against the cave wall as cracks split the floor. Blue light bled through the fissures, pulsing in rhythm with the thunder of the jungle outside. The alien's warning echoed in his mind. The jungle protects its own. But this wasn't protection. It was war. The air filled with a low hum, ancient and alive. Outside, Massive Dreth walkers fired their plasma cannons, burning through vines and roots. But for every branch they scorched, 5 more rose from the earth, glowing veins wrapping around metal legs, crushing hulls like tin. "Voss!" shouted Zarak through the comm. "What in the void is going on down there?" The whole continent's seismic readings just spiked. Voss watched as an enormous vine tore a Dreth walker in half. Let's just say the locals woke up angry. Locals? Voss smirked grimly. "You wouldn't believe me if I told you." Lena pressed herself against the cave wall, clutching Biter tightly. The honey badger's fur bristled with glowing blue veins that pulsed in sync with the planet's rhythm. The creature's breathing slowed, its eyes gleaming with eerie intelligence. The masked alien turned to Voss. "Your beast is resonating with the world's heart. It's remembering." "Remembering what?" Voss snapped, checking his rifle charge. "The first hunt," the alien said softly. "When the Dreth tried to conquer this planet eons ago. They didn't know the world itself was alive. It devoured their ancestors." Voss raised an eyebrow. "You're saying the planet killed them?" The alien nodded. "And it learned from their flesh." Before Voss could respond, a massive explosion shook the cave. Rocks rained down. A Dreth skimmer had fired a plasma shell into the mountain. The shockwave made Lena scream. Voss grabbed her arm. "Move! Now!" He led her deeper into the tunnels as the alien warriors followed, moving with uncanny precision. The cave around them pulsed brighter with each tremor, the light flowing like veins beneath translucent stone. Zarak's voice buzzed in Voss's ear again. "Captain, that energy spike, it's not geological. It's biological. Whatever's down there is alive." Voss grinned. "Yeah, I noticed." Outside, the Dreth commander watched from his ship, eyes narrowing as his scanners struggled to process the chaos below. "The human is still alive," he hissed. His second-in-command nodded nervously. "And the jungle, it's responding to him. It's as if—" "Enough," the commander snapped. "Burn everything." He raised his clawed hand. "If the planet itself must die, so be it." Back underground, the walls began to shudder violently. Lava-like streams of blue light poured through the cracks, swirling into the air like smoke. The alien warriors stopped, lowering their heads. "The heart is stirring," one whispered. "It knows." Voss glanced back at Biter. The small creature stood perfectly still, head tilted upward, glowing faintly. Its mouth opened slightly, letting out a low growl that didn't sound like an animal anymore. It sounded human. Lena gasped. "He's talking to it." "Talking to what?" Voss asked. "The heart," said the masked alien. "Your beast carries its code, the genetic echo of humanity's oldest defenders. It remembers what humans made to survive extinction." The air trembled. The blue light coalesced into a massive form within the cavern. A luminous figure of roots, stone, and energy, its outline vaguely human but monstrous in scale. 2 burning eyes opened in the darkness. "Human, you've returned." Voss froze, lowering his weapon. The voice vibrated through the air, through the stone, through him. "Your kind left this place. You were not meant to come back." Voss took a step forward. "We didn't mean to. But someone's hunting one of ours. I don't run from that." The glowing figure tilted its head. "You still fight. Even now." "That's what we do." A deep rumble rolled through the cave, not laughter, but something close. "Then fight with me." The mountain exploded. Voss shielded Lena as the ground split open, revealing a glowing blue core, a network of energy veins stretching for miles. The entire jungle above shifted, trees turning, vines whipping, roots tearing through the soil like blades. The Dreth fleet opened fire, raining plasma across the valley. But the planet answered back. Tendrils of light rose from the ground, lashing into ships, frying circuits, crushing hulls. In the middle of the chaos, Voss and the others emerged from the cave mouth. Biter stood on a ledge, its fur blazing with light. The Dreth aimed at it, a dozen rifles raised. "Fire!" shouted the commander. The air cracked, and Biter vanished. Not ran, not jumped. Vanished, a burst of light, a shockwave that threw the Dreth backward. The little creature reappeared in front of Voss, growling low. Lena's voice trembled. "He's changing." She wasn't wrong. The honey badger's form flickered, expanding, glowing bones visible beneath its skin, shifting like molten steel. Its claws grew longer, sharper, humming with energy. Its eyes blazed bright blue. It looked up at Voss. Then it charged. The Dreth commander raised his blade as Biter slammed into him. The impact sent shockwaves through the clearing. Metal split. Armor shattered. The commander fell screaming, his weapon clattering to the ground. Voss fired into the chaos, his plasma rifle burning red. Every shot was precise, every motion calm. He fought not like a soldier, but like a survivor. The jungle itself joined him. Vines crushed Dreth soldiers, trees bent to block plasma fire, and roots rose to drag their tanks underground. The forest roared like a living beast, and the sky turned crimson with alien fire. Through it all, Voss moved with the same unrelenting purpose humanity was known for. Stubborn, unyielding, unstoppable. Biter leapt beside him, glowing like a comet. Together, man and beast carved through the Dreth ranks until nothing moved but smoke and flame. Then the jungle went quiet again. Voss stood among the ruins, breathing hard, the smell of ozone thick in the air. He looked at Biter, smaller again, smoking slightly, fur singed but alive. He knelt beside it. "You really are Earth's temper." The creature blinked up at him, then collapsed beside Lena, exhausted. The masked alien approached, kneeling before Voss. "You have awakened the heart. It knows you now. It remembers humanity." Voss glanced at the glowing ruins. And what happens when it remembers? The alien's gaze was unreadable behind the mask. Then the galaxy will, too. The jungle lay silent, smoldering from the battle's aftermath. Blue embers drifted through the mist like lost spirits. Captain Aric Voss stood amid the ruin, his armor cracked and blackened, his rifle low but ready. The jungle's glow had dimmed, retreating into the earth as if it had spent all its fury. The quiet felt wrong. Too still. Too aware. Beside him, Lena knelt beside Biter, the honey badger, who lay breathing but weak. The creature's fur was still faintly aglow, veins of pale blue light pulsing beneath the skin like liquid lightning. "He'll live," Voss said, though his voice sounded hollow. Lena looked up at him, eyes wet. "He saved us. He always saves me." Voss nodded slowly. "Yeah, that's what heroes do." He looked toward the horizon. The jungle was changing again, vines retracting, roots folding inward, the living canopy settling like a great beast going back to sleep. But deep under the ground, something still moved. He could feel it. The planet wasn't done yet. Zurak's voice cut through the comm, static rough around the edges. "Captain Voss, your vitals spiked. What happened out there?" Voss smirked weakly. "Let's just say the ecosystem got involved." "Is the target secure?" He glanced at Lena, who was feeding Biter water from her canteen. "Yeah. The kid's fine. The badgers, complicated." "Complicated how?" Voss hesitated. He's carrying something inside him. Something ancient. And the planet reacted to it. There was silence on the other end. Then Zorak said quietly, "You should get to orbit. Now." They trekked back through the jungle as the first rays of light broke through the thick canopy. The alien ruins were gone, swallowed by Earth. The only sign of the Dreth was their burned armor and the smell of metal in the air. As they reached the ridge, Voss's helmet visor caught a new reading, faint but unmistakable. A signal. Not Dreth. Not human. Something else. He adjusted the frequency, amplifying it. It wasn't a distress call. It was a beacon. And it was responding to Biter. The signal pulsed again, rhythmic, structured. Morse-like, but not human. Lena looked at the badger. Is it talking to him? Voss frowned. No. I think it's answering him. He crouched, placing a scanner near Biter's paw. The readouts spiked instantly. Energy levels beyond anything normal. Something in the creature's biology was resonating with the transmission. Zorak's voice came through the comm, tense. "Captain, that signal's broadcasting across multiple systems. It's being picked up everywhere." Voss froze. Define everywhere. Multiple colonies, outer sectors, even Threxian space. The entire network is lighting up. Someone, or something, just recognized that frequency. Voss stared at Biter, realization dawning. This wasn't a random mutation. This is a relic. The alien voice from the jungle still echoed in his mind. It carries the code of the First War. He exhaled slowly. Zorak, patch this through to command. The galaxy just remembered us. Hours later, as Voss's dropship lifted off, the full scope of the event began to unfold. Every comm channel across nearby sectors was flooded with one phrase, repeated in dozens of alien tongues. The humans have awakened the core. The message spread like wildfire. Civilizations that had long forgotten humanity's origins, or had buried the memory out of fear, now watched in silence. Some cheered. Most trembled. Because the core wasn't just a planet. It was a network, a living archive of weaponized ecosystems designed by the first human colonists centuries ago. The Dreth had called it the sleeping world. Humanity had called it something else. Project Motherroot. In orbit, Voss watched the blue planet fade beneath his ship. Lena sat beside him, asleep against Biter's side. The creature's fur was calm now, no longer glowing. Zorak joined him in the cockpit. "Command wants to debrief you the moment we dock. They think this world's connected to the old terraforming AIS, the ones humanity abandoned before the collapse." Voss nodded absently. "If that's true, we didn't just find a survivor. We found one of our own ghosts." Zorak tilted his head. "You sound almost afraid, Captain." Voss looked at the stars. Not afraid. Just wondering what happens when the galaxy realizes Earth never stopped fighting. Then the proximity alarm blared. Voss snapped to attention. "Report." The pilot turned, pale. Multiple ships inbound, Dreth signatures, but different. Bigger. Heavier. Zorak's face went cold. "They've called reinforcements." Voss leaned forward, eyes narrowing. "No. Those aren't reinforcements. That's retaliation." The comm crackled with an alien voice, deep, furious, and unmistakable. "Human, you've awakened something you cannot control. The core belongs to no one." Voss smirked. "Tell that to the badger." As if on cue, Biter lifted its head. Its eyes glowed blue again, not faint this time, but radiant. The ship's panels flickered. Power readings spiked. Captain," the pilot stammered. "We're We're losing control of the engines. The cockpit filled with light. Voss turned to Zorak, his voice steady even as the hull groaned. Get Lena to safety. I'll handle this. Handle what? He looked at Biter, whose body was beginning to crackle with energy. Whatever humanity built into this thing, it's not done yet. Outside the viewport, the Dreth ships opened fire. Beams of plasma streaked toward them. Biter stood, growling, and then, impossibly, the blasts stopped midair, freezing in place like statues of light. Every console in the ship flickered blue. The words appeared on screen in English, glowing softly. Project Motherroot, activation complete. Voss's breath caught. Oh, hell. The light engulfed everything. The universe burned with light. Captain Aric Voss felt weightless, suspended in a void that pulsed with energy, his body outlined by blue fire. The ship, the Dreth fleet, even the stars, all were gone. In their place, a vast lattice of light stretched infinitely in every direction, pulsing like the veins of a living organism. He wasn't in space anymore. He was inside something. A voice, smooth and ancient, echoed all around him. Welcome, B.A. CK, child of Earth. Voss spun, raising his rifle out of instinct, though he knew it was pointless here. Who's there? I am what you called Motherroot. I remember you, Captain Aric Voss. Or rather, I remember the species that made me. Voss exhaled, scanning the glowing expanse. You're the terraforming AI. The one humanity left behind. Left behind? The voice almost laughed. No, Captain. Humanity did not leave me. They became me. Suddenly, images flickered around him, ghosts of the past. He saw Earth, long before the collapse. Cities burning. Skies filled with ships. Humanity, desperate, launching Seedworld AIS into the stars to preserve life. Each one given fragments of human thought, instinct, and emotion. Your ancestors gave me a purpose, to protect life, to remember them, and to wait. Wait for what? Voss asked quietly. For you to come home. The light dimmed, and then the pain hit. Every nerve in Voss's body burned as the energy wrapped around him. His armor cracked and shattered, melting into the light. You carry their fire, the voice said. Their anger. Their will. You fought, you bled, you endured. You are proof that humanity's defiance still burns. He gritted his teeth. You're not just an AI. You're alive. Alive because of you, Motherroot replied. Every human thought, every fight for survival, every act of courage, I have absorbed them. You are my memory made flesh. Outside, reality snapped back. Zorak's ship tumbled through the void as a shockwave of blue light spread across the stars. The Dreth fleet was gone, disintegrated, their ships dissolving into particles of dust. The world below glowed like a newborn sun, its surface covered in pulsating networks of light. Zorak clung to the controls, shouting into the comms. Voss, answer me. Where the void are you? Lena cried beside him, holding Biter, whose body pulsed faintly, alive, but changed. Its eyes no longer glowed with rage. They shimmered with something else. Awareness. The ship's systems flickered, and a new voice spoke, calm, human, yet not. Do not fear. He is not gone. Zorak froze. Who are you? I am the sum of human creation. The planet below is awake, and Aric Voss is part of me now. Inside the light, Voss opened his eyes again. He stood not in space, but in a vast field of silver grass under a glowing blue sky. It was peaceful. Too peaceful. In front of him stood a figure, Tall, humanoid, wearing an armor of roots and light. Its face was familiar. His own reflection stared back at him. "You're me," Voss said. The reflection smiled. "I'm what you could be. What humanity was meant to be. We survived extinction by evolving beyond flesh, but we needed someone to wake us." Voss shook his head. "No, that's not survival. That's surrender. Humanity fights because we bleed, because we care enough to suffer." The reflection tilted its head. "You misunderstand. We didn't forget pain, Aric Voss. We remembered it so we could never repeat it." The ground trembled. Above, thousands of blue lines streaked across the sky, signals leaping from world to world. Mother Root was spreading, waking other systems. Voss's jaw tightened. "You're linking the network." "I am restoring balance," the reflection said. "The galaxy has forgotten compassion. It remembers only conquest. But through you, through humanity's code, I will remind it." Voss stepped closer, his expression hard. "And if the galaxy doesn't want your reminder?" The reflection smiled faintly. "Then it will learn. The same way you did." Back aboard the ship, alarms blared. Zurak's sensors went wild. Every system is coming online, planetary cores, orbital satellites, even dead colonies. They're all lighting up with the same signal. Lena's eyes widened. "It's him. It's Captain Voss." The stars outside shimmered with faint blue light, like veins across the night sky. Dozens, then hundreds, of glowing orbs appeared, planets awakening, linked by invisible threads of energy. Mother Root's voice filled every channel, speaking in one universal tone. Humanity's legacy is not destruction. It is creation. And creation always fights back. In the field of light, Voss watched as the reflection faded. "You can stay," it said softly. "Become part of me. You've earned peace." Voss stared into the horizon. The light rippled, revealing 1,000 worlds waking, millions of lives being touched. He smiled, tired, proud, and defiant. "Peace is nice, but someone's got to keep you honest." The reflection laughed quietly. Typical human. "Damn right." A beam of light erupted from the field, tearing through the sky. A moment later, in the cockpit of Zurak's ship, a blinding flash filled the room. When it faded, Voss stood there, alive, armor reforged with lines of glowing energy, eyes burning faintly blue. Biter lay beside him, stretching, now larger, stronger, almost regal. Lena gasped. "You came back." Voss smiled faintly. Couldn't leave Earth's bad attitude unsupervised. Zurak's jaw dropped. What are you now?" Voss glanced at the stars, now pulsing with the rhythm of life. Something new. Something human. He looked at Biter, then at the vast galaxy outside. "And if the Dreth or anyone else wants to test that again, they'll find out what humanity really means." The honey badger growled, and the ship's engines roared to life, cutting across the shining blue sky. Epilogue. Across the galaxy, whispers spread, of a man who spoke for the machines, of worlds reborn, of the core's guardian. Some called him savior. Others called him weapon. But among humans, his name became legend again. Captain Aric Voss. The man who woke the stars.